Hello and welcome to Hattie Knits Along. My name's Allison, but my friends call me Hattie, and this is a channel where I like to talk about all things knitting, what I'm working on, what you're working on, and what we're currently nerding out about. But today is not really a knitting focused day. Today I'm going to be working on my craft room. This room is actually just kind of the foyer at the bottom of my stairs. I think this door here used to be the front door, or was designed to be the front door of my house, but it actually is not the front door and we never use it. So I've turned this space into a little bit of a craft room, but it has turned into a big disaster and it needs a lot of help to get back into a functioning space. I wanted this room to be a place where my kids have access to all of their arts and crafts things, but also a place where I could use my sewing machine and have a sewing table and just keep all of our supplies organized. And let me give you a little tour so you can see how bad it has gotten. Okay, so this was meant to be my sewing table, and as you can see, it's just really full of stuff right now. And it's just not functional. Over here, I have this IKEA kind of storage block thingy that is probably the most organized part of the craft room, but probably not to its full potential either. And then this, I used to be really into seed starting, and so I got these shelves for starting seeds, and here's all my seed starting equipment. I've got the nice lights and the trays and all of my seeds in here. But yeah, I haven't been doing that for several years, so I need to take that stuff out and utilize this space a bit better. Now here we can see where the real disaster comes is all of my kids' craft supplies. They just kind of throw stuff on here. It's not organized anymore, and they aren't very good at putting things back. So I need to make it in a way that they could have access to it, that they know how to put it back where it belongs, and keep the floor clear. My husband and I were talking about everything, and we're thinking actually that we should move the sewing table up against the doors there, and then move the black IKEA thingy over here, and then keep the metal shelf where it is, I think. And yeah, but before I can do any of that, I need to go through all of this stuff and edit out a lot. So I hope you enjoy this journey with me.
I have a very crafty 9-year-old who loves especially modeling with air dry clay. She has collected many different types of air dry clay and tools to use them with, but she is notoriously unorganized and tends to just shove things into boxes. So I'm trying to make her stuff a little more usable for her. She also is constantly gifted craft kits because she is so crafty. So I need to get those organized for her as well. But I think I'm doing a pretty good job with it. And this is all things I'm going to throw away, I think. When I'm organizing, I tend to pull everything out first just to see what I have. And that goes with what was on the table too. I want to get a good picture of all the things that I have, what I want to keep, what I want to throw away. And also, it gives me a nice glimpse of the space that I actually have to put things. So that helps a lot, but it does create kind of a lot of chaos at first. It also gives me an opportunity to deep clean, which is something that probably doesn't get done in here often enough because of all the clutter on the floor and the overflowing boxes. So I think that's another great reason to pull everything off the shelves and just get a good inventory of what you have.
So I got everything cleaned out off of these shelves that I think that I want to throw away, and I cleaned off the table a bit. It's definitely not done, but I think I'm at a good place to pause. I do want to get my kids involved in this process because they're the ones that are also using this space, and I want it to be something that they understand, the be organization around it and things like that. So I want them to have some say in it. I think it would also be good to get a few more bins for these shelves to organize the supplies a little more. And then I still need to figure out what I'm doing with all of these seed starting supplies because they're still here. And I don't really know where I'm going to put them. The choices are throw them away, give them away, or shove them somewhere else. I'm not sure where. So I have to figure that out, but I think that's going to be a project for another day. Anyways, I'm pretty pleased. This only took me an hour. I had set aside 2 hours to do this, but it only took me an hour to go through it all. I just still need to put that stuff in the garbage can and think about how else I'm going to, what else I need to do before I do the next steps. So, thanks for being here. Okay, so it's a few days later, and I have gotten some bins to continue the organization process here in the craft room. And I have some other thoughts about how to rearrange the furniture and use some other things that I have in the house to make this a more usable space. So, first of all, I'm gonna put some of this stuff in bins. I have to get rid of all of my seed starting materials and yeah, clear up the space on the shelves, take down these seed starting lights that I have up here, and find a place for all that stuff. And then I could start thinking about how I want to rearrange the furniture. Um, but yeah, let's get started.
I decided to try to fit all of my daughter's air dry clay materials into one bin, and this was quite the feat because she did have a lot of things, but I think it will be easier for it to just be in one lightweight bin. It's a little bit bigger, but it's not overwhelmingly big, and that way she can just pull it down and grab everything she needs for her making in one go, and then she can put it all back, put a lid on it, and keep it all together. I also am putting labels on everything, and I think I will talk more about that later, but this way everybody knows what's inside of these boxes, and hopefully things will stay there.
I wanted to mention that I am wearing this my jaunty shawl and a sweater and stuff. I don't have heat in this room, and it has really tall ceilings. So it might sound a little echoey also. But yeah, this room is not really a room. It's just like the foyer of at the bottom of the stairs, and there's no heat source. And if I even put a heater in here, it wouldn't be very efficient because of the super tall ceilings, because of the stairs to the second floor. So anyways, it gets pretty chilly in here. When we have a fire going in the wood stove, I can open up this door to the foyer, and that would help give some warmth into this room. I can also, like, if I'm sitting at a table, I could put a space heater under the desk and have heat coming to me from that. But I think right now, as I'm working on this room, the easiest thing is to just wear some warm layers and hopefully not have it be too bulky. But it's like 34 degrees outside today, so yeah, pretty chilly.
I definitely don't think that you need to have a million bins to keep your home organized. I do like to have some sort of organization for my items, and unfortunately, I don't have a lot of cupboard space or closet space in my home. So we do have to do open shelving concepts a lot, and I think that the bins work well for that. I'm not somebody who thinks you have to go and do the whole home edit on your house and buy all the clear bins, but as you can see, I've tried using mason jars and Ziploc bags in the past, but that hasn't really worked out for my kiddos. So I'm trying out this bin system, and I'm hoping it will be a little bit easier. But I think you can also source things like baskets and, of course, jars if that works for your family. And hopefully you don't need to go out and buy 1 million plastic bins. That's just not always necessary.
All right, now I need to take down these lights that I had up for seed starting. There's 2 big, long fluorescent ones. And, oh, there's 3. There's another one right there. And then I have to take down all of these seed starting supplies. Not sure where I'm going to put those yet, but they can't stay here. Here are some of the bins that I just filled up. And I forgot to mention that I got most of these bins at Daiso, which is a Japanese dollar store. I mean, it's not a dollar, but it's kind of that vibe. Things there, I don't think there's anything there that costs $1, but that's how it started out, as 100 yen in Japan, and now they have them in the US, and you can get things pretty cheaply, but they have lots of different options for bins, which is really helpful. They have home goods, they have kitchen goods, they have snacks, they have stationery, stuffies, pillows, lots of like makeup and skincare stuff. So it's a fun place to shop if you have one in your area. But I think for bins, it's really helpful because they have like many different sizes. And yeah. And where I live, we don't have a lot of like home goods stores, so it's really helpful to have Daiso here.
So, a little story time. I am somebody who loves to dive in deep on new hyperfixations, and gardening was definitely one of those hyperfixations for me in the past. I have been working really hard on not being a perfectionist when it comes to my hobbies, and gardening got to a point where I was struggling with not being perfect at it and wanting to give up all the time. So as you can see, the seed starting things have languished here for many a year as I have been working through my perfectionism. Hopefully I can get back into it one day and not be so hypercritical about myself. But for now, let's make room for more crafting instead. Also love to know if you are somebody who hyperfixates on hobbies or has struggled with perfectionism in their life. It's fun to hear about other people who relate to these things in their lives, and especially in the crafting world. That could be really challenging.
So these bins I already organized a while ago, and I, like, maybe a year ago or 2 years ago. But they don't have any labels on them, and it works for me fine, but my family has told me consistently that they like labels on things because they don't know where to put things back or what is in the boxes or things like that, even though they're clear and you could see through them. Apparently that's not good enough for my family. So I want to make this space really usable for everyone in my family. So I'm going to label all of these boxes so that, yeah, so that everyone can know what's in what and try to keep things a little more organized. Hello, we are a few days later, and this is what we have going on right now. My husband helped me move around some of the furniture. I've got the table way over here now. It used to be over here. We moved it over here. We switched places with the metal shelf and the IKEA shelving. So that when the desk is like right up against that metal shelf, it's not, you could still reach things on it, which is kind of nice. I still have to put away all of this stuff that's on the stairs, so I need to find spots for that on probably this metal shelf. We had been thinking that we have this old dresser from, oh, this is not straight. We had been thinking that we have this old dresser from when our kids were little, and it has like a changing table top on it that you could take off. And I was thinking maybe it would fit right here, and it would be great because it's like waist height to be a cutting table. Because I really have a struggle with cutting fabric on this table. It's just a little too low, and my back starts to hurt. And if I sit down, then it's like an awkward angle. So, but the dresser is only 18 inches wide, and this cutting mat is 24 inches wide, so it wouldn't really work. But my husband was just thinking that maybe we could build some sort of like table that folds out from the wall here and has legs and everything. That way we can make it as big as we want for this space, and then it can go up against the wall when I'm not using it, which I think sounds amazing. And we can make it the right height, big enough for the cutting mat, and I'm kind of excited about that idea. So we are gonna just keep on keeping on and see how far we get.
I went into this project with not a huge budget, but with a huge motivation to make it into a usable space. And my husband had a wool rug in his office that just wasn't working for the space. It was too big, and he couldn't open the closet door in his office anymore with the rug down on the floor. So he said I could use the rug in this craft room, and unfortunately the mat that he got for it was way too thick and it wasn't going to work well in this room. So I went on my local Buy Nothing group, and I found somebody giving away all of this non-slip rubber matting for rugs. It's a huge amount, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of it. I might give away some of it back into my Buy Nothing group. I'm not sure, but I think Buy Nothing groups are a great resource. You never know what people are wanting to get rid of, and this stuff was perfectly good. It saved me a trip to a store. It saved me money, obviously, and it's being used instead of being thrown away, which is amazing. So you can definitely do these types of projects on a budget. You don't need to spend a ton of money to get stuff done. You know, I bought those bins at Daiso, which is a cheap store. You could probably source bins on Buy Nothing groups, or at least baskets and jars and things like that as well. But I was really happy to find this, and it came at the perfect time when I was looking for something for that rug. So yeah, I'm really happy that I got this, and I think the rug really adds a lot of warmth to this room. So here's the rug. It's a wool rug. It's really nice, and it just, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. It was just not working for my husband's office. So I'm happy to have it in this room.
All right, I only have a few more things that I want to do in this craft room before I say my refresh is over. And one of those things I'm going to do today, I ordered I was looking for contact paper because that's what we called it when I was a kid. Every time I Googled contact paper, this self-adhesive wallpaper showed up. So I figured that's very similar to what contact paper is. And it's also removable. So that could be really helpful if for some reason this doesn't work out. But I bought a roll big enough to cover this table that my husband made, which I will show you in a minute. And also this desk back here, which is actually just like a 6-foot table. So I'm going to cover the top of this table and this table with this contact paper, and I hope that it will turn out nice. Let me show you this table really quick. I needed a space to cut fabric on that was a little bit higher up than the desk is because it was just really hard on my back. So he built this so that it would be flat up against the wall when I'm not using it. And when I am using it, I can go like this. I can pull these up, flip them around. Flip this one around, and it balances on a little ledge here. There. So now it's at my, like a more of a counter height, and it's the perfect size for my cutting mat to sit on. But obviously when I'm not using it, it's going to be flat up against the wall, and the cutting mat is not going to be on there. So I wanted it to look nice and not just this pressed wood look. So hence the contact paper.
Also, in the effort of being budget minded, this project came together really cheaply. This wood was stuff my husband had lying around. He does like to tinker with wood projects a lot, and so he had this wood already. I think he did have to buy a couple of things at Home Depot, but mostly he had everything he needed. I got this contact paper wallpaper stuff off of Amazon, mostly because I wanted it quickly, and we don't have a lot of options in my area to buy things in person, but I'm sure you could source it from a better place. It was pretty cheap, and I think it adds a little bit of, I don't know, not luxury necessarily, but elegance into this room, chicness. It definitely turned this, particle board into something that looks really beautiful. It wasn't the easiest thing to put down without getting bubbles in it. But luckily, it sticks well when you push down on it, but it's easy to peel up again. And I'll link it down below in case anyone's interested in this. But it took me a while to get it right. Obviously, I'm speeding up the process here. It was important to me that I lined up the flowers, so I got a generous amount so that I could do that, and I still have some left over. Maybe I could make little projects with it, or I'm sure my daughter, who's really into making recycled projects, could find something to do with the rest of it. But it was important to me to line up the flowers, and so that probably took a lot more time, especially on the longer table, which you will see shortly. But I'm really happy with especially how the short table turned out. I think it looks really pretty, and it looks like it's all one piece. You can't really tell where the seam is, so I really liked that, and I love the pop of color that it adds to that room, which is very warm tones in that room. So we needed some more color with all that wood paneling. Since this is mostly going to be folded up against the wall, it's almost like a piece of art against the wall, which I really like, instead of having just particle board. Maybe one day I'll paint the legs of that table as well. I did have to, take all of that stuff off of my craft table, which takes a lot of time. The other thing is you really want to make sure that the surfaces are nice and clean before you stick the wallpaper down, because otherwise it'll just stick to any dust or anything that might be on there and not to the surface itself. I don't know if you could tell, but that 6-foot table has like these deep screws in the top of it that hold the legs on, and because of that there's like kind of some divots in the surface of the table, which I think makes a little more bubbles and things like that when I put down the wallpaper. Also, being 6 feet long, that's a really long piece to try to put onto the table all at once, so I ended up having to cut them in half and do like 3 feet at a time. You can see there are a lot more bubbles, and maybe one day I will try to fix those, but for now, it'll do.
All right, friends, well, here we are, the finished product. Of course, nothing's ever really finished, right? It's always going to be a work in progress, and I do have a few ideas of things that I still want to add to this craft room, but I am so pleased with the final results. I have the table that my husband made, which has been great. I'll show you in a minute that I already started a sewing project, and it's out here on this table. I have my nice clean sewing table in the back, ready for my sewing projects to begin. And I am gonna add a light up there. You could see there used to be a light fixture there, but it broke, and so I am gonna add a light there, which is gonna be like a ring light that's on an adjustable arm, so I can have plenty of light over my sewing. All the craft supplies are organized, and I'm really happy about that. My kids haven't destroyed it yet. I have a nice rug in here to give it a little bit of warmth. I have room where the camera is right now for my ironing table, and yeah, so let me show you a little bit. Here is that table with my sewing project on it. I'm making a Portsmouth bag from Clum House, which has been really fun to make. It's waxed canvas. Up here on this blank wall, I do plan to put a pegboard and also some photo or pictures, framed pictures that I have. So I haven't done that yet, but here's my craft table in use, project supplies out. And there's the light fixture that I'm going to switch out for something else. Here is all my organized fabric and supplies, more of the kid stuff, and yeah. It's a usable space. Thank you so much for following along on this journey. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. I am going to be putting out more videos very shortly, a lot about my knitting, some things about sewing, and other making adventures. I also have a rigid heddle loom now that I want to get into, so be on the lookout for more videos from me, and thank you so much for watching. Happy knitting. Bye!